Hi everyone, and welcome back to our In the Spotlight series, where we bring you unique stories and perspectives from industry leaders. I'm Scott Ellis, a partner with Gate One, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Richard Fisher from international health and wellness retailer Holland Barrett. Welcome, Richard, and it's great to host you in the Gate One offices today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be able to do this in person and not do this over Teams or by video. So it's just nice to actually speak to people.
Absolutely. And so, Richard, in the spotlight today, I'd love to get your perspectives on a couple of things: retail design, putting customers at the heart of design, your approach to different retail formats, and the growing influence of Gen Zalpha. But before we get into these, could you tell me a bit more about yourself and your role at Holland Barrett?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've always had a passion for design. That's like from a very, very young age. And that kind of developed and went into agencies. So I spent the first 15, 20 years of my career in agencies doing technical design. So I started to understand exactly how things were built, how they were manufactured. So it gives me that really good grounding when I come to start thinking about things. But I got really frustrated with it. And really I was just a cog in a wheel, and I wanted to be able to have more of an effect on design. So about 7-8 years ago, I made the switch to client side, and that was just a huge change and a huge way of developing my career, and really gave me the ability to have an effect on design like I've not before. Moved to Holland Barrett about 3.5 years ago, and an incredible business, an incredible time of change. They've had a lot of investment recently, and they are going through a real journey, a real development journey. Holland Barrett has almost a unique problem on the high street. Everybody knows who we are, so we have a really high acknowledgement. Everyone knows who we are. The challenge is people don't consider us. So when somebody wakes up and they go, my knee hurts, or I want a better night's sleep, they don't naturally think of us. So that's the real challenge and the real opportunity that I've had to be able to come in and go, right, how do we make people think about Holland Barrett? So part of that journey has been, how do we make our stores more credible? A lot of people remember our stores as being old and dusty. So my role and my job and my challenge has been over the last 3 years is to get Holland Barrett stores to a credible new look and feel.
Very good. And credibility often comes from purpose. And in the last few years, despite periods of high inflation, low growth, some of the best performing retailers are those that get laser focused on purpose and see growth and transformation as a priority. How does that feed directly into your design approach and customer centricity?
Yeah, we've had to be laser focused. We have an estate of 800 stores, and they hadn't had much love. So we had to be laser focused to get to the ability to be able to get to refitting 800 stores. So we've been really, really focused on making sure our stores are credible. They have a good look and feel. They are modern. They have a good modernity to them. They have great navigation. So it's that ability to get us to that as a credible retailer. Where we go now is the real challenge. So we've been thinking a lot about how do we make our stores fit for purpose in the future. So that's kind of where our journey is now.
Talking on your journey forwards, and you said, it's where you go from here. With the growing prominence of online and digital, how is that influencing store design? And has the role of the store in the overall customer journey changed?
We have to do everything. The internet doesn't. So we have to be convenient. We have to have availability. We have to do, we have all those things. But we have to do everything else that the internet can't do. So we've got some assets that every internet retailer would love. We've got 800 stores, and we have colleagues that are unbelievably knowledgeable. I've got this great story. We were in a store a couple of months ago, and I was with a lighting supplier, and we sell glucosamine. And he went, "Oh, I use that for my dog. God, you sell it a lot cheaper than my vet sells it." And the the assistant, the colleague I was with, gave an incredibly clear answer of exactly why you wouldn't want to give that glucosamine to a dog. Because ultimately, if you give that to your dog, you'll kill it. Now, we have about 3,500 SKUs, and I reckon she could do it for every single one of those SKUs. She could give a good, detailed answer, because we train our colleagues incredibly well. So we have that. We've got heritage. You don't get to be a retailer for over 150 years if you are shonky or don't have a product or don't have credibility. So we have all these things that other retailers don't, other internet retailers may not have. So we have to trade on those. And that's where I think physical stores are so much more important than digital only retailers.
But I assume you can't act alone as a design team. I mean, behind the scenes, what we see working best are cross-functional teams that integrate design, but also the technology and the commercial and the digital stakeholders and considerations in order to accelerate innovation. Is that the case at Holland Barrett? Has it become something growing in Holland Barrett?
So we were purchased about 6 years ago by Letter One Investment. And that means that they are overhauling the whole business. And I mean everything from the distribution centre in Burton through to the stores, through to our tech offering. And with this huge amount of transformation and huge amount of evolution, if you're not working closely with your other business partners, it's just not going to happen. You're going to all go off in different routes. So the cross collaboration within Holland Barrett is incredible. And a really good example of that has been the Cardiff store. I know we'll probably talk about that in a bit. But for Cardiff, we challenged so many parts of the business to really break the rules. Like, where are we going? How do we push this forward? And if just store design had gone off and done their own thing, we'd be the outliers. The whole thing wouldn't work. It would all be out of sync. So we had to bring everybody on the journey with us. So bringing commercial, bringing marketing, bringing tech, insights, we all had to go together. And I think you can see in Cardiff, with us all going together and all being collaborative, highly, highly collaborative, then you get something really special at the end of it.
Okay, we'll get to Cardiff and Wales. But if I go back to Ireland, where you and I first met, around the time you had a new kiosk format in the Jervis Street Centre. You've also got more travel hubs emerging in your portfolio. How does location and shopper context, influence your approach to design, particularly thinking about customer-centric missions?
So we're experimenting with a lot of different formats at the moment, in particular concessions. So if you look at what we've done in Tesco's, we've gone for single aisle. We're really experimenting with what's a customer journey, what do they want, what are they expecting, what do they need, what are we feeling that they don't have. We've also worked with Next, which is again a very different customer journey to a grocer. So how do we then change and evolve our range and our look and feel and the way we talk to people? We've worked with garden centres, and then like you say, we've also worked with travel, and we're looking and experimenting more. So how do you take effectively 88 bays, which is our range, and bring that down to something like 14 bays. So we're learning, we're experimenting. It's a process. Some have been more successful than others, but we're learning. And we're learning how we can then show up in different ways and better ways for our customers in locations they may not have been expecting.
So you're changing, so is your consumer base. When we talk about Gen Zalpha, the micro generation encompassing members of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they'll have $12 trillion worth of spending power within 5 years' time. We see them influencing merchandising at the retailers we work with in terms of the experiences and the missions, a focus on that rather than products and categories. You've touched on it, but how are they generally impacting your approach to design for the future?
The stores almost have to now become an extension of marketing. So we have to be able to give our customers something that they can share on their socials. It's almost like a free gift, and that's how we think we can start to get across. We've started to use the word, and it sounds so cheesy, but it's the simplest way we can get it across, is it has to be Instagrammable. So somebody has to want to be able to take a picture and feel, and it's really a hard balance, because if you just go into that lens of it's just got to be Instagrammable. It's a gimmick. And Gen Z are so good at seeing through that. Like, if you're not doing something with purpose and clarity and a reason why, they just go to gimmick and they turn off really quickly, really, really quickly. So we've started building things into our stores that are credible. They are, they have a purpose. I mean, look at our wellness studio and how we start to build that. We purposely put that in. We've built it in a way that the lights in there are meant to be Instagrammable. They're meant to be shared. They're meant to look beautiful. And that is how we get people, how we use our stores now. They're not just pretty warehouses. They're not just somewhere where we expect our customers to trundle in, throw stuff in the basket and trundle out. We want you to spend time. We want you to share it. We want you to be excited. So that is how we get that broader appeal with those customers.
Some of these things, including that wellness studio, are showing up, really, really, in big format in your new store in Cardiff. It looks like it was designed to engage, inspire, elevate the way customers shop and build in those Instagrammable moments. But it's looking really at the well-being and how customers better educate themselves. It's a very large store. There's a lot to see inside. Could you tell me more about it and how you approached it?
We wanted to demonstrate we were a credible wellness partner, not a retailer, a partner, somebody who's on the journey with you. So a retailer would just want to sell you more and more products, but we want to be on the journey with you. And that is really clear, not only in the way the store looks, but the way it's laid out and the way we communicate to people. So as you go into the store, you're greeted with this giant pillow wall, this big squidgy wall. And that was our way of trying to articulate putting your arm around you. Because when you get wellness right, it feels like a hug. And we had this idea that wellness is a hug. It's a nice, warm feeling. So how do we articulate that in a physical embodiment? And the wow wall, the big squidgy wall, was exactly where we ended up. You want to sit on it, you want to take your picture on it, you want to share it. Big, big energy. And that's about breaking rules. And we were really, really down with breaking rules on this one. We brought in a new agency to help us on the journey, and they supported our existing partners. And with them, we challenged them to break everything. And the one thing we broke the rules on was that idea of we now lead on missions. So we don't lead on products. And that was the big rule that we wanted to break. So now when you go into store, we're talking to you. Look, let's put it in a simpler way. When you wake up in the morning, you don't crave zinc. You don't go, oh, do you know, I really fancy some magnesium this morning. You go, my knee hurts. I want to lose some weight. I want to think better. I want to sleep better. Why aren't we talking to our customers like that? So that's what we did in Cardiff. We flipped it around and we've started to talk to our customers of, would you like a better night's sleep? So that's a giant, and we've given a lot of space and a lot of credence to that. And that's how we're now talking to our customers of, here's a problem, and we're the experts. We're the wellness coach. We can help you on this journey. And then the big thing at the back of that is to really show our credibility, is that a lot of things that we sell need to be complemented with other things. And one of the other things that you can complement really well with is a wellness studio. So we've started showing, we've showed up with Pilates classes, with reformer chairs. We're now doing breath work. We're doing sound baths. And this, all of a sudden, you go, actually, these guys aren't just trying to sell me more vitamin C. They genuinely care and want to help me on my wellness journey. And that is, I think, how we get across to a much wider audience of, we are a credible retailer. We are on the journey with you, and we're going to help you all the way to your end of your wellness goals.
So you've disrupted your approach to design, but you've absolutely got clarity on purpose, and you're maintaining the focus on credibility. So I worked on Bloomingdale's in Kuwait, completely different context. It was a store format that was already there. We wanted to do everything, but we looked at profitability per category. It was like it was going to be a female-led store because the Kuwaiti female spends the most per square foot of retail of anyone in the world. But 40% of the store we designed to be private, because actually if they're trying things on, they want to bring their family and they want the privacy because they're unrobing. And if they do go in there, they'll take a number of dresses and they'll spend more, and the family just build the experience. We bring them coffee. So you don't see half of what goes on behind the store, but ultimately we deliver on the outcomes and the missions, So it was really interesting. That was 10 years ago, but everything is, what is the mission? What is the purpose? How do you stay genuine to what they're there for?
I love that cultural thing of just like, we're going to close half the store off.
So Richard, when you look at who is really getting it right in physical retail at the moment, what key principles or approaches would you spotlight that are being used to win over customers?
I'm always interested in people who challenge the norms of retail, who try and break the rules. So many retailers at the moment just do pretty warehouses. And I think customers now are looking for something way more than just a pretty warehouse. If you're expecting them to get off the sofa, drive into town, park the car, pay for parking, maybe buy lunch, there's a lot of effort there. And if you're just doing what I can do at home, you're not giving somebody the reason to get off a sofa. That's where I think the real people. For me, there aren't many people doing that. But one I do like a lot is Glossier in Covent Garden. Effectively a beauty Argos, but they've built on it so much more with community. I mean, the best, most beautiful lighting I've ever seen, amazing colleagues, and it disrupts that customer journey, which I think is so important.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's been really engaging and informative, and thanks for sharing so many valuable insights with us today. And we'll see everyone else next time for another Gate 1 in the Spotlight conversation. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.